hold on to your hats because we are headed into a very powerful and transformative new moon in Scorpio. I'm Meagan Mermaid, and I'm the headmistress of Mermaid Mystery School. And I'm also the author of Mermaid Mindset Makeover and the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck. And I'm here today to give you your energy update for the new moon in Scorpio. This energy update is relevant from November 1st, when we have our new moon in Scorpio, through November 14th, right before our powerful full moon in the luxurious and sensual sign of Taurus. So we are at the precipice of a lot of transformation. Collectively, individually, by itself, Scorpio is already such an intense energy. And then we have this opposition between Mars and Pluto. And so all of this intensity, all of this desire, everything is coming to the surface right now. Luckily, the moon will also be trine to Saturn, and there is a beautiful stabilizing energy of Mars trine to Mercury. So we really just have to figure out how to alchemize the intensity. This new moon in Scorpio is taking place at 9 degrees of Scorpio, just before 6 a.m. Pacific on Friday morning. New moons are always a time to set our intentions. It's the beginning of a new lunar cycle, and it's going to give us the flavor and the themes for the following 28 days. Now, Scorpio itself is really all about transformation, and we can think of Scorpio in three words: sex, death, transformation, and rebirth. And the reason why is because the eighth house, which is ruled by Scorpio, is all about merging. So anytime we are merging, we all experience the intimacy of sexuality. It's a merging of two energies. We all experience the energy of death, right? There are deaths that happen in our lives where we experience the deaths of loved ones that pass on. And then there's also the deaths of specific chapters in our life or opportunities or experiences. So this concept of death can feel scary. In Gene Key 28, Richard Rudd talks about the shadow of purposelessness, the gift of totality, and the city of immortality. And so this particular gene key really dives into the elements of Scorpio, and it has to do with this fear of death, which then becomes the fear of not living, and then finally the fear of living without fulfilling our purpose. So think about that. If life was ending for you today, if in a moment you no longer existed, if you were doing some kind of life review and you looked back on what occurred in this particular lifetime, what would you feel is missing? What would you feel disappointed that you didn't accomplish or experience? And so oftentimes it's that fear of death, that fear of annihilation that prompts us, that catalyzes the fire of going after that thing that we are passionate about. So the energy of this moon can go many ways, but really it's all about our self-mastery and our focus. Yes, it's going to feel intense. Yes, we may bump heads against people or situations or power. There's reasons for that. It's because we have to be shaken up in order to be catapulted into our growth, into our sovereignty. And that's why I'm so excited that we're going to be starting Witch School 101 beginning on November 2nd, right in that new moon window, because this is the time to reclaim our dark feminine power, heal that witch wound, and step into moving towards the fears rather than away from them. So you can find that link in the video description, and there is still time to save $44 if you enroll before October 31st, Samhain. And this is going to be such a powerful journey. And I'm so glad that it's starting in this new moon cycle, because I do first want to talk about the positives of this moon. So this moon is going to be trine to Saturn in Pisces, which means that there's a lot of energy for structure, for framework, for launching new things, for beginning new projects. It could also be that if there is a relationship or a partnership that's starting around this time, there's a deeper level of commitment that both parties can enter into with the energy of this moon. And then we also have Mercury trine to Mars. So it means that there is this ability to have diplomacy with some of that heightened intensity that we're experiencing. And we have the ability to channel all of the intensity, all of the anger, all of the desire that we have into right speech, into right action, into funneling it into our creative projects or endeavors or things that we want to bring into being. So there's a lot of energy for healing and there's a lot of energy for positive growth. But then we also have to be aware of this other energy, this energy of conflict that's happening between Mars and its opposition to Pluto and Capricorn at the 29th degree. Now, this particular opposition is going to be exact on November 3rd, but we're building up to that in this new moon energy. So with this energy, it's kind of like this push-pull dynamic of wanting something intensely, but feeling that longing of having it be out of reach. Or else it could just be that if there is conflict and maybe there has been elements of trying to keep the peace or repress that part of you that knows that there is not an equal balanced amount of energy in whatever kind of dynamic, that can't be ignored. And so it's important that we are aware of that energy and we're not afraid of it, that we can enter into peacekeeping and diplomacy, even if others are reactive or they want to engage us in their drama or their conflict. So it's very important that we hold to our boundaries and we do so from a place of unconditional love and compassion. And sometimes that means being that giver of tough love and saying like, no, this is my boundary. And if you cross this boundary, there will be a heightened boundary. And if you cross that boundary, more limitations. And those people that don't respond well to boundaries are going to push against that. And they're going to try to find that loophole or that way in, or a way to manipulate you and make you wrong about that boundary and second guess yourself. And that's where that energy of sovereignty and self-trust in our intuition and the actions that we're guided to take is going to be so deeply important, because we have to understand that even if maintaining that boundary creates more conflict in the short term, it will lead to more balance. That's why the energy of Scorpio in this moon is saying that we have to be courageous and we have to bravely move towards the things that we fear rather than away from them. It's only when we are not looking at the fear, when we are not looking at the shadow, that it can run rampant in our life. And so it's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. There may be overwhelm. And when we think about this energy collectively, especially in the US, as we're going into election day and all sorts of things, it's just there's a lot of unrest in the collective. There's a lot of energies of people that are angry, that are upset, that feel disempowered. And for those of us that don't have a practice of self-mastery and focus, it's very easy to become much more aggressive and agitated in these energies. So I encourage you to start preparing by having some type of self-care practice in place to expect the unexpected, to expect that conflict may occur. But there is a difference between approaching conflict and addressing it and getting sucked into it. So remember that there are certain energies that it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. You can list your boundary 800 ways to Sunday and they will not accept it and they will continue to question it. So you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove yourself. You can ask that your spirit guides and your higher self and whatever energies that you work with guide you and keep you safe and protect you and help you to have clarity and help you to maintain integrity in the space of difficulty. But remember that we cannot shy away from the difficulty. You know, if we think about ourselves as players in this game of life, that we are playing roles, it's often in the space of that climax in any movie, in any great story, where you have to come up against that oppressor, that opposing force. And when you step up to that, we can think like David and Goliath, for example, in the biblical story. You know, if David shied away from facing that giant, and if he started to question and feel unworthy of who am I, and this person is stronger than me, they're more powerful than me, they have the upper hand, he would have never found his sovereignty, his courage. And so we have to think about that in situations where it feels like we are facing some giant, some Goliath in our own life. Why is this occurring? How is it allowing us to step into our power and our sovereignty, our dark, feminine energy of being worthy of our no? And so, as most of us are healing the wounded feminine, especially if you're drawn to my work, then it means that you have been socialized to feel sometimes that you don't have a no, that you don't have a say, that you've got to go along with certain things. And many of us are recovering from emotional, physical, mental trauma to impossible degrees, impossible. What we have been asked to neutralize and to alchemize and to heal within ourselves and the collective at this time is unprecedented. But that doesn't mean that it's not possible. And so, what we learn in witch school is to embrace our inner magic, to heal our witch wound, and to really begin to own our power and to use it from a space of integrity. So rather than feeling like we are powerless or using our power in a way that causes more harm or is from a space of fear, instead we own our power. We own our ability to manifest, to materialize things into form. And we do so from this place of honoring, allowing it to be not only for ourselves, but for the greater good, for all of humanity, for the earth. And it's important. We need to stand up. And that's why guides like the Morrigan and Hecate are coming in witch school. And they're offering us this blueprint of how to be feminine and ferocious, and how to be kind and loving, but still set strong boundaries, and how to take back our personal power without being afraid of it, or without feeling like if we are in our personal power that we're doing something wrong. And so there's a lot of unraveling, and witch school is really going to guide us in this initiatory journey of working with the earth to not only call back our power and step into our full self, but also to really begin to say no and to stand up to the injustice and the atrocities that are occurring on this planet. And so, with all of that, yeah, it's wonderful. We're a hero of our story, woohoo! But there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of terror that comes to this. And so we also need to recognize that there is going to be more of a pull to distract ourselves, to obsess, to get lost in like rabbit holes of thinking, or really looking outside of ourselves at a person or a situation and thinking that if this person or this situation were X, Y, and Z, then we would feel okay, then we would feel safe, then we could relax. And that's not how it works. Scorpio is bringing up all the stuff that's keeping us from being whole and unified in our sovereign self. And so sometimes that might mean that you have to face those parts of yourself that we can look at as character defects, although there really are no defects. It's just recognizing, this is the challenge of your character, of your role, that whenever you're in this situation, you do this thing, you engage in this pattern or this behavior, but then you expect a different outcome. And so we have to have compassion for ourselves in that, and also recognize that nothing is set in stone. So even if something is not happening as quickly as we'd like it to, it doesn't mean that that's completely a closed door. It just means that we are in this space of so much transformation that it's like we have to let the dust settle. And as we get into the full moon mid-month, and as we move out of this intense degree of Pluto and Capricorn squeezing us for the last time since Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, we are really tying up so many stories when it comes to personal power and how power has been played out in our life and in our role and in our story. And so mid-month, we will start to feel some sort of relief. And yes, it does mean that we'll be on a new trajectory and there will be new issues and new challenges. There always will be challenges. But it does mean that whatever this challenge, this timeline is that we're wrapping up, that feels extra intense, that feels like it may not have a solution, that there is solutions coming. And we have to be available for the best possible outcome. And so sometimes when we're in the thick of this Scorpio energy of all of this intensity, it's like we can sometimes limit ourselves by thinking it will always be like this. It will never get better. Certain situations or experiences are just the way they are. And I don't want you to limit yourself to that. Know that new stories are possible to create. And even if it feels like you've made a mistake or you've done something or nothing is happening, that again, there's still this energy of everything kind of moving and changing very rapidly. So the more that you can come to this space of calm awareness and observation and acceptance, the easier it's going to feel. So I'm going to be pulling from a few different decks to kind of get a better idea of what to expect in the energy of this moon. And the first card that we have is 10 of Pentacles. So this is a very favorable energy. It's saying that, you know, this energy of feeling grounded, having this family harmony, this legacy, ancestral healing. That's really what I'm getting from this card is ancestral healing. And so that means that the limiting beliefs or the challenges that we've experienced over eons in our lineage, that we're the ones that get to transform it. Yes, right? What did we sign up for, right? Did we really know what we were in for coming down to earth for this particular incarnation? But again, we have the power. And so what I'm also getting from this message is to call on the support of your ancestors. And sometimes ancestor work gets a bad rap. Like, you know, if we're healing patterns or limiting beliefs within our family, we might think that it's only the trauma that we're healing. But we also have to recognize the immense amount of gifts and wisdom and knowledge and experience that our lineage has offered to us, that can offer to us. And between Samhain and Dia de los Muertos and holidays such as that, within different spaces on the planet, there's this opening of the veil where the energy of the dead, those that have passed and crossed over, and those of us that are here in the living, in the land of the living, have more access, more ability to communicate. And so I encourage you in this time to light a white candle and call on the support of your ancestors and ask that they guide you. Know that you're not alone, that you don't have to completely obliterate ancestral programming and viral programming from thousands of years by yourself. It's not possible. And you do have more support than you realize. So ask for that support and call on that ancestral healing and that guidance from those that have come before you. We have 6 of Wands. So this is really important that this new moon cycle, there's going to be some type of victory, recognition, success, whatever you've been working towards, even if it feels like there's been a stall or if there's any stagnancy or you're not seeing progress, know that victory is coming, and also recognition for the work that you've been putting in. So again, sometimes we just have to trust that if our path was guided and if anything was possible, what would we do? Would we be worrying about the outcome, or would we be enjoying life? And again, this is that energy of Scorpio that's going to keep pushing us to that perfection of focus and self-mastery, where it's like, oh wow, I'm getting caught in this distraction again. I'm anxious. I'm feeling the urgency of needing an outcome or an answer right now. And so that's when we have to just really honor and love ourselves and channel that into something creative, into something beautiful. And then we have the star. So I feel so good about this energy. It means that even if there's any tower moments, any power issues, any temporary moments of deep challenge, that it will bring this message of hope, that we are moving into a new beginning. And then we have the 4 of Swords. So the 4 of Swords is twofold. First, it's the physical act of rest, of self-care, of knowing that, you know, we need to honor our body and our body's limitations. We need to take care of ourselves because there's a lot of emotional and mental and all kinds of push and pull on our awareness, on our consciousness. And so we've got to take care of our body. We've got to recognize that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to integrate. And this 4 of Swords is also indicating that there might be some type of a rest or a pause in something that felt like it was gaining momentum and maybe it just stopped. And when something stops, that space is what creates the anxiety because we want to fill the space. And so that's when we're going to notice all of those shadow aspects of ourselves, of like wanting to fill this space with urgency, or wanting to fill this space with distraction, or wanting to fill this space with projection, or wanting to fill this space with blame. What are we trying to fill the space with? And how can we observe that, honor that, not make ourselves wrong for that, but also recognize that sometimes we just have to be okay with the space and the uncertainty. And so the final tarot card that we have is the Nine of Swords. And this is a card of feeling restless or anxious or sleepless nights, of like worrying about the worst case scenario. So I'm going to pull one more significator for this, because yeah, it's just, I'm seeing victory, I'm seeing hope, I'm seeing rest, I'm seeing ancestral healing. All of this is saying that there is a positive outcome that will come, but yet we're still berating ourselves with terror of how this is going to work or how it's possible. So this Justice card is saying we need to find balance first within ourselves, and then recognize that there is always a divine order to all things, and that it's going to work itself out, that there is a karmic rebalancing. So whatever you're worried about in this moment, just give it to God, give it to your higher self, channel that into creativity and moving your body and indulging in the senses and cleaning your home, cleaning your environment and making it as beautiful and inviting as possible. Keep yourself busy so that you don't get stuck in that energy of fear and worry and anxiety. So I'm going to move on to my deck next and give some additional mermaid messages that can support us in this time. And we have non-reaction. How perfect is this? I am a master of non-reaction. And if you see this card, the mermaid is in this bubble, and there are all these sharks that are swimming around her. The sharks can represent fears, obstacles, challenging people, power struggles, and she's still in this bubble and she is maintaining her composure. And so the reason why the mermaid empowerment for non-reaction is I am a master of non-reaction is because once you know that nothing can ruffle your feathers, that regardless of what happens, you'll always be okay, you'll always have the upper hand, because it's only those that cannot control their reactions that will get themselves into trouble and will tell on themselves. And that's where the justice comes through. Don't throw the stones back. Don't blame. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you're in that moment and you have to let yourself feel like, oh my God, they're so awful. I'm so angry with them. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe I have to go through this. You don't have to deny yourself that part of the process, but then take it back and say, okay, I accept what is and I'm creating from there. I'm not going to respond to their stuff. I'm not going to let it pull me down. I'm going to let my success and my ambition and my passion and my self-mastery be the justice, that their shit is fertilizing your growth. That's one of my favorite lyrics from Queen Irby in her song R.I.P. Your shit fertilizes my growth, right? Just think about that. Whatever they're projecting onto you, whatever they're saying about you, whatever kind of chaos they're stirring up in your life, don't react to it. Know that there is a karmic rebalancing, and they're literally giving you a blessing in disguise, because all of their junk is pulling you up into this victory. So don't stress about it. We also have receptivity. So I'm open and receptive. Allow yourself to receive, whether it's support or being heard or whatever it is. Know that now is a time for you to receive and to recognize that it's okay to receive. And you don't have to accomplish a certain goal to let yourself relax or rest, that you'll get further on your path if you pause more, if you really just honor yourself in these transitions. And lastly, we have perfect trust, which is I trust and know the universe has got me. So again, it's like we've got to take this leap of faith in whatever this new beginning, this new start, this new relationship, and know, yeah, we'll have fears, we'll have worries, and that can all come up, but it doesn't mean that we're not worthy of that thing or that it's not possible. So I want to pull from 3 more decks to kind of give some additional messages here. And we have from the Moonology deck, we have the end of a rough cycle approaches, or the end of a tough cycle approaches, rather, full moon in Capricorn. So let that sink in, that there is an end, there is relief coming from this tough cycle. But again, you've got to stand your ground and you can't get sucked into the drama in the meantime. Believe in the impossible. So don't limit yourself by believing that things aren't possible, even if it's not happening yet, or even if it's taking longer than expected. If you have a dream or a desire, know that it's there for a reason. And then we have a personal issue reaches resolution. So full moon in Cancer, it's saying believe in the impossible. The end is near, completion is near. There's going to be some type of resolution. But again, this is a learning of how to hold yourself in a space of grace and composure and trust, even when you don't see that solution just yet. It's the belief that gets you there, rather than thinking, I'll believe it when I see it, which puts you into a very disempowering and closed space. This is your opportunity to believe it and then begin to collect evidence to know that it's possible, that in every great story, there is that moment of how will they survive? How will they get through this? How will they defeat their Goliath? And in every great story, there is always a happily ever after. There is always a resolution. There is always that moment of victory. And this is all here. But again, we have to kind of forget it in the moment to be a part of the drama and the excitement of the human experience of how are we going to get out of this one? How is it going to work out this time? It's like we have to kind of keep a little bit of that uncertainty, but let the uncertainty become excitement and anticipation rather than anxiety and fear and self-doubt and judgment and criticism. From the Burning Heart Love Oracle, we got to add a little bit of spiciness with love since it is Scorpio season. We have, I want to make you happy. I miss your smile. So, if something has felt stagnant in partnerships, know that the other person may also be going through their own things. I encourage you not to take things personally. Rather than seeing space as a punishment or space as an indicator that something is over, see the space as a blessing that you and this other being, whoever is coming up in your awareness right now, you need the time to process, to integrate, to tame your own demons so that you can come together as whole, happy people. Again, this trine of Saturn to the moon is indicating there's a lot of energy that is opening the space for new levels of commitment and trust and honoring in partnerships. So don't feel like that's not possible, but you've got to trust the timeline. You've got to be patient and you've got to keep yourself busy working on yourself in the meantime. I'm going to pull 2 more cards from this deck and then a few from the Messages of Love Oracle deck to kind of wrap things up. So we have, I'm in love with you and I want to make things right. So again, I just feel like we have to trust and believe that things are possible, even if we're not seeing movement. Believe. And again, this is saying like, I'm in love with you. So we have to look at this as how can we make things right within ourselves first? How can we make ourselves happy? How can we make ourselves smile? How can we show love to ourselves? Because that's going to make us magnetic in partnership. And so lastly, as we move into the Messages of Love Oracle deck, we have unexpected outcome. Things didn't go the way I planned. Runner, I don't want to run anymore. And responsibilities. I have to take care of my financial and emotional needs. So it might feel that things do have some type of an unexpected outcome, or maybe the space or whatever you're currently navigating through does feel unexpected. It wasn't how you thought things were going to go. But again, whatever experience feels like it's running from you, or there's more space being created when you want more closeness, that a lot of this is having to do with responsibility. The Saturn aspect is saying, first, take care of your personal responsibilities, get your ducks in a row, figure out what you need to accomplish, and recognize you've got to take care of you first. And then as we move into November and this full moon in Taurus, which is going to bring a lot more stability, a lot more comfort, a lot more pleasure, sensuality, enjoyment, know that it's not over yet. It might just be a pause. Okay. So be in the pause and don't freak out about the pause, because the pause is your opportunity to focus on you. So I would love for you to sign up for Witch School if you want to be a part of this journey of amazing witchy women that are reclaiming their sovereign power, healing their witch wound. That's going to be a 6-week immersive journey happening every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. You can save $44 if you enroll before Samhain on October 31st. That sale ends at midnight. Also, I have in the video description that you can take the quiz, Which Witch Are You? And there is a free masterclass that talks about the 7 witch archetypes, which are also connected to the 7 chakras. All of us are all of the witch archetypes, but we all have a primary one. So whether that's the desert witch or the cosmic witch or the kitchen witch, once you start to own and embody your primary witch archetype, that's the pathway for you to step into your power. So that quiz is free, the masterclass is free. And if you like that quiz, if you like the masterclass, then that'll be a definite sign that Witch School 101 is for you. So I hope that you're a part of it and that you can be on this journey with us. It's going to be amazing and transformative. And know that this too shall pass. Any feelings of conflict or chaos, that it's all leading to a beautiful ending. That's probably what I'm getting from this unexpected outcome, is it's probably going to be better than you could have even imagined. So forgive yourself for the fear and worry and just know it's all working out. So in the meantime, how can you hold yourself through the in the meantime, how can you hold yourself in the discomfort and know that it will pass? I love you so much. And if you're interested, I love you all so much. If you're interested in diving deeper, you can also book a personal session with me, galactic channeled readings, intuitive card readings, much like this one, also astrology. So you can find all of that information on my website at meaganmermaid.com. And I hope that you have a wonderful new moon. Love you.